Listen carefully, aspirant of the profound. Have you ever truly noticed that the biggest, most monumental things in your life rarely, if ever, appear quietly? They do not arrive like a surprise gift, falling effortlessly from a serene, clear sky. They send relentless, unsettling signals first. And the strangest, most confounding part, those signals never look precisely like what your rational mind imagines or expects. Many souls pray desperately for a breakthrough, a blessing, a radical, sudden change. But when the signs finally appear, they fail to recognize the raw truth of them. Before the divine gives you something massive, something life-altering, it does not begin with the easy blessing. It begins with a fundamental structural movement inside your soul. Carl Jung believed the unconscious always sends signals before consciousness is ready to expand. And in the language of spirituality, this is how the divine whispers, prepare yourself. Your container must grow. Great things never arrive without winds of potent indication. And when your soul starts feeling those movements, that internal shifting, you are no longer who you used to be. You are actively being led. In today's profound transmission, we will explore the clear, powerful, unmistakable signs that almost every soul experiences when the divine is about to give you something monumental. If you are watching this video, it may not be a coincidence. Stay until the end, because you might be much closer to what the divine is preparing for you than you consciously realize. Are you ready to truly receive it? Number 1, pressure before promotion. There is something strange, something universally shared, that almost every soul stepping into a major, defining chapter experiences. Right before the divine prepares to bestow something great upon you, life does not become lighter, it becomes heavier. In those days, you don't rationally know why you feel more tired than usual, more emotionally volatile, and even small routine things feel overwhelmingly difficult. You look around and notice your closest relationships becoming more strained, more challenging, instead of warmer or more supportive. Your work suddenly becomes intensely demanding, as if every hidden challenge arrives at once, and the opportunities you thought were secured vanish mysteriously at the very last minute. Sometimes you think in paralyzing doubt, am I going in the wrong direction? But in truth, this is often the very first, most reliable sign that a major blessing, a monumental expansion is approaching. In Jungian depth psychology, any genuine expansion of consciousness must first structurally pass through a zone of severe internal pressure. Jung once said, with unnerving clarity, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. Pressure does not exist to destroy you. It merely expands the psychic capacity of your soul so you can hold something infinitely bigger, something the divine is preparing. If you observe the patterns, everyone the divine lifts up walks through such a chaotic phase. Remember Joseph in the ancient texts? Before he became the second in command of Egypt, he didn't receive blessings immediately. On the contrary, everything in his life seemed to utterly collapse. Sold by his brothers, falsely accused, thrown into prison, forgotten by the very person he helped. If you look only at that phase, you would think his life was being abandoned. But in reality, each event was crucial preparation. Joseph didn't know it, but every layer of pressure was a layer of elevation. Every time he was pushed down in what looked like failure, he was actually being moved into the exact position the divine intended. And the same structural dynamic is happening to you right now. What makes this phase confusing is the feeling of paradox. You are doing everything right, living with integrity, praying, trying, but the results do not get better. You are internally stronger, yet feel more exhausted. You're more mature, yet feel profoundly lonelier. You pray for guidance, but receive overwhelming challenges instead. But through Jung's lens, this is not punishment, this is inner restructuring. When a new, higher level of consciousness wants to be born, the old, smaller self must break. Your familiar, limited mind is no longer wide enough to hold what the divine is preparing. So, the divine stretches you, tests you, lets certain unaligned things fall away to prepare you for something greater. Imagine the soul as a vessel. You ask for it to be filled with blessings, but your vessel is too small, and the only thing the divine can do is expand that vessel. Expansion must create pressure. Pressure causes pain. but it is the only way you can contain what has already been destined for you. What you call chaos is sometimes simply the divine construction site at work. When the foundation is deeper, the building can rise higher. Jung believed that when the soul is preparing to expand, the unconscious will push all unhealed fragments to the surface: fear of abandonment, insecurity, feelings of inadequacy, and wounded memories. You are not becoming worse. You are being purified. You are not becoming weaker. You are being reforged. Relationships become tense not to destroy you, but to peel away connections that no longer belong in your future. Opportunities disappear not to break your hope, but to prevent you from walking through doors that are not yours. When you fall under pressure, you also do not know that the very place where you feel you are collapsing is the staircase leading you to promotion. So if today you feel the pressure increasing, don't assume you are moving backward. Pressure is the sign of elevation. You are not being buried by the divine, you are being lifted. You are being stretched exactly the way your soul needs to step into a greater blessing. You are not in the wrong place. You are being positioned exactly where the divine prepared long ago. I will now generate chunk 2 of 7, ensuring it is slightly larger and highly fragmented, maintaining the strict 10,000 character minimum and the Jungian Surrealism theme. This chunk will focus on the sacred inner shift, the feeling of outgrowing the old life. Here is the highly expanded and humanized chunk 2 of 7, the sacred inner shift, outgrowing the old shell, chunk 2 of 7. This chunk focuses on the internal restlessness, the inner calling of the self that signals the need to move beyond the current life structure, ensuring the 10,000 plus character minimum. If external pressure is how the divine expands the capacity of the soul, then the next phase feels like a quiet, internal, persistent shift you cannot easily name or rationalize. It is no longer the heaviness of conflict, but a deep, unshakable sense that you no longer belong to the old place you inhabit. You don't logically understand why, but everything familiar starts feeling loose. Conversations that once excited you now feel shallow. Places that once made you feel at home now feel tight and suffocating. Habits that once gave you comfort now feel heavy, like worn-out, restrictive shoes you no longer want to wear. You feel profoundly restless, but don't know what specifically you're waiting for. You feel urgently pulled, but don't know exactly where you're going. And the strangest part of all, even though nothing outside has changed materially, inside, you know for certain that something bigger, something essential is calling you. This is not boredom. This is not simple lack of motivation. This is not clinical depression. This is the sacred inner shift, the stirring you can't logically shake off. Carl Jung called this moment the inner calling, the necessary knock of the soul, urging you to rise from your comfortable old shell and move closer to the self, the divine integrated center within you. When the self wants to grow, to manifest a higher destiny, it creates inner psychic tightness to signal that you have structurally outgrown your old life. Imagine living in a small room, a familiar comfort zone you have known for years. You don't hate the room, but one morning the walls feel noticeably closer. No external event pushes you out, no one forces you to leave, but you feel you no longer belong there. The room hasn't changed, you have. This is the clearest metaphor for this phase. Your soul is quietly expanding, making old structures too small to contain your future self. I once spoke with a woman named Elena, a literature teacher who had been in the profession for over 15 years. She loved her students, loved her work, and never considered leaving. But for the past 6 months, she had felt something strange inside. Lessons that once excited her now felt empty. Conversations in the teacher's lounge, once comforting like a daily rhythm, suddenly felt shallow and repetitive. She still did everything well, still smiled, but deep inside there was a quiet, insistent movement she could not name. Elena shared that every time she walked into her classroom, she felt inexplicably suffocated. There was no conflict, no wounds, no event pushing her away, only a soft, persistent feeling that her life was opening in another direction. One afternoon, while grading papers by the window, she suddenly felt a gentle, clear intuition. It's time to step out. Strangely, she felt no panic, no fear, and no sadness, only a profound sense of peace, as if a new, inevitable chapter was calling her from afar. In religion, this is called awakening. In Jungian depth psychology, it is the awakening of the self. In spirituality, it is said, the divine awakens the soul before he changes the circumstances. Circumstances do not shift first. The soul shifts first. The restlessness is not to worry you, but to help you recognize you have already outgrown the old season. Jung has a quote that perfectly fits this phase. In each of us there is another whom we do not know. He speaks to us in dreams and tells us how differently he sees us. That is why you feel the urge, because the self inside you has seen the higher timeline and is pulling you out of your old mold. The sacred inner shift always comes before all external transformation. When the divine is about to move you into a new chapter, he does not begin with an open door. He begins with inner psychic discomfort, so you can no longer remain in a place you have already outgrown. The interesting thing is this phase usually has no physical evidence, no visible signs, no one tells you, no announcement from heaven, only a strange, quiet, undeniable feeling, I don't belong here anymore. That is the profound voice of the divine. And you will notice this, when the soul begins to shift, the old things will fall away naturally. Relationships no longer aligned with your frequency fade. Old activities lose their meaning. Shallow conversations exhaust you. You don't have to force yourself to leave. You simply recognize you are being led away. Just like when spring arrives, the tree does not strew gale to bloom. It simply responds to the movement within, and the flowers bloom on their own. You are in that exact phase. The divine is not rushing, he is not forcing. This time he uses gentle stirring to remind you that what is coming is bigger than anything you've ever known. Your soul is waking up, and awakening always happens inside before it appears outside. So, if these days you feel restless without knowing why, feel misaligned with what once felt familiar, or sense a vague calling from a place you've never been, don't panic. This is not confusion, this is direction. You are being pulled out of the old to enter the place the divine has long prepared for you. Your soul always wakes up before the world outside changes, and that sacred inner shift never goes to the wrong address. If these days you also feel that quiet movement, the sense that you no longer belong where you were, the sense that something bigger is softly calling your name, share your story. Not to tell every detail, but to send a small sign to someone out there feeling the same, that they are not walking this season alone, and that the movement inside the soul is always the first signal of a chapter approaching closer than they think. Just as your soul has passed through heavy days when pressure seemed ready to break you, but mysteriously expanded your inner capacity, you now enter another profound phase, a phase gentler, yet deeper. The place where grace starts operating, where unusual favor finds you, before you even consciously look for it. Some people, those who live only on the surface, call it luck, but those who have truly experienced it know it feels nothing like luck. It has precision, subtlety, and an orchestration so perfect that it makes you pause and humbly ask, why is everything aligning so flawlessly for me right now? When the divine prepares to view something monumental, something great, grace usually comes first. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly opening the way for you. You begin seeing doors open that you never once knocked on. Someone mentions your name at the exact precise moment you desperately need it. An invitation appears out of nowhere, precisely when you are praying about that very thing. These are small moments, yet they create major, undeniable turning points in a person's life. Jung said, synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. Carl Jung believed synchronicity is not just a passing sign, but a crucial bridge between the physical world and the deepest guiding layers of the unconscious. He viewed meaningful coincidences as the external response of the self, the sacred integrated center of the soul, when you are consciously moving in alignment with the path you are truly meant to follow. Therefore, each synchronicity is not merely a spiritual event, but also a profound psychological sign that you are in harmony with your true nature, moving in the direction your soul has long desired. And when the conscious mind, the unconscious, and the divine will fall into the same straight line, life begins to operate with such precision that you cannot help but bow in awe. I once met a man named Marcus during a small sharing session. He was an architect who had applied for a position he deeply desired for 2 years, but never received a reply. One day, nearly ready to give up on the dream, he decided to help a group of students revise their design plans for free. During that conversation, one student unexpectedly said, "You should really meet my uncle. He's looking for an architect for a new project." The student's uncle happened to be the director of the company Marcus had applied to. The meeting that followed lasted only 30 minutes, but it was enough to change his future trajectory. He said, "I didn't look for that opportunity. It found me. And it found me the moment I had let go enough to let the divine act." Synchronicity always works that way. It doesn't follow ordinary linear logic, but the complex, subtle logic of the soul. When your inner world opens, your energy shifts, and the outer world meticulously reflects that shift. If the soul is a unique frequency, then grace is the signal that perfectly responds to that frequency. Like a radio, when you tune to the right frequency, the sound becomes clear. You do not cause the alignment. You simply begin to hear it. On a scientific level, synchronicity is also explained through the brain's pattern detection mechanism. When someone has a deep desire or strong belief in something, the brain begins filtering related information more clearly. But Jung added that this is not merely brain activity. It is the profound resonance between human consciousness and the universe's vast information field. When the mind has been purified through trial, it becomes more sensitive to guiding signals. You don't just see the signs, you understand their meaning. You don't just meet opportunities, you are pulled into the exact right place at the exact right time. Imagine walking through a dense, dark forest. When your mind is chaotic, you hear only random noises, rustling leaves, snapping branches, blowing wind, all mixed together. But when your mind becomes still, like a quiet lake, you start hearing smaller, crucial things. Footsteps leading to the right path, water flowing where an exit lies. Synchronicity is those small sounds, the ones that appear only when you are still enough to hear. The ancient texts once said, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and he shall direct your paths," meaning, when you surrender your whole heart, he will make your paths straight. That straightening sometimes doesn't come through loud instructions, but through small pieces, silently fitting together so perfectly that probability can't explain them. That's why when the divine prepares a big blessing, you don't need to knock on the door. He will leave it open. When grace is operating, everything stops happening by your finite strength and starts happening by his immense strength. You no longer have to force things into place because they naturally move into their right position. You no longer chase opportunities because opportunities start running toward you. You no longer struggle to find the right people because the right souls begin to appear. Not because you suddenly became lucky, but because your inner world has entered the readiness stage. And when the right thing arrives at the right moment, remember this, it is never a coincidence. It is a sign that the divine is straightening the path you're about to walk. So when the great blessing arrives, your heart is wide enough to hold it. If you're seeing unexpected doors open, the right people appear, and opportunities align as if arranged by an unseen hand, know that grace is in motion, and that is the surest sign that something big is approaching closer than you think. Have you ever truly wondered why the most beautiful, most profound moments in life often appear right after the darkest days? As if before the divine gives you something great, the darkness suddenly becomes more aggressive, more visible, the attacks become more relentless, and you are pushed right to your very limit. This is not punishment, it is not divine anger. It is a critical form of filtering to see whether your soul is structurally strong enough to carry the blessing he is about to place on you. Carl Jung called this the shadow confrontation, the crucial stage in which the darkness within us rises, not to destroy us, but to be acknowledged and integrated. It carries old fears, unresolved wounds, and deep, painful memories that once made us retreat from life. When the divine wants to lift you to a higher level, he requires you to face the very things you once ran from, because you cannot step into a new, elevated chapter while still carrying the heart and the psychic baggage of the old one. Remember the ancient law: before an arrow can be shot farthest, it must first be pulled back the hardest. The greater the pullback, the greater the final launch. The stronger the internal or external attack, the more clearly you know you are about to go far. Your soul is being stretched, not to break you, but to propel you to where you belong. A viewer named Annabelle once shared her journey with the channel. She had just received a huge opportunity, a full scholarship for an arts program in Paris, something she had dreamed of for 10 years, but just when the joy had barely settled, everything began to collapse. Her mother fell mysteriously ill, a close friend profoundly misunderstood her and turned away. Her boss exerted unprecedented pressure, making daily work suffocating. She shared that in the moment when everything seemed to be turning against her, Annabelle realized a truth she had never seen clearly before. Nothing was ruining her opportunity. Everything was preparing her for it. The misunderstanding taught her to separate her self-worth from others' fragile approval. The pressure from every direction forced her to build an inner strength she never knew she had. In the end, when everything had settled, she said something very soft, but full of self-possession. "I'm ready to step into my new life, not because the opportunity has arrived, but because I have become someone capable of carrying it." During this stage, you will feel attacks coming from every direction. Even things that used to feel normal now become burdens. People misunderstand you. Small criticisms drain you. Unexpected temptations appear. Laziness, doubt, or even old relationships returning. At the exact moment you feel vulnerable. This is very similar to the journey of Lady Gaga before stepping onto the stage with the album that would make her a legend. Gaga went through a series of attacks that seemed determined to break her. Rejected outright by multiple record labels, fired just months after signing a contract, mocked for her appearance and unconventional style, and simultaneously battling panic attacks and post-traumatic stress. Every time she stood up, another storm hit her, as if the darkness was trying to pull her back just before the light reached her. Later, she said, "Sometimes the darkest moments are what prepare us to shine the brightest." Those attacks did not crush her. They forged her into someone strong enough to hold the immense light she was about to step into. Jung believed that when the shadow rises most fiercely, it is because the deepest layers of the soul are being restructured. A person is not just facing fears, but learning again how to stand firm within their own inner world. Strong attacks often activate the entire unconscious system, forcing you to see parts of yourself you once avoided. And it is precisely this act of seeing that makes the soul more mature, more resilient, and more capable of holding greater things. When darkness pushes you to your limits, it is unintentionally opening the door for a new level of consciousness to be born. Many people believe that when attacks intensify, it is a sign they are going in the wrong direction. But in truth, it is proof they are going the right way. The enemy only attacks what has value. Darkness only fights against what has the potential to create light. No soul ever enters powerful elevation without first going through a dark season. Jung had an important insight. He said, "No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell." Meaning, in order to rise high, you must go deep. To receive something great, you must touch the darkness within yourself. There is no shortcut. And there is one thing you must understand. When external attacks intensify, it is because something inside you is changing. Expansion is happening. The weakest, most fragile parts of you are being brought to the surface to be healed. The shadow only rises when it is about to leave. Therefore, if you are being attacked from many sides, if your spirit feels exhausted even though you have done nothing wrong, if people misunderstand you more than usual, if temptations pull you down more intensely than ever, don't rush to think you are losing. In truth, you are very close, very close. The divine does not test you to see how weak you are, but to show you how strong you already are. He is not pulling you down. He is pulling you back, like an arrow, and when the moment comes, you will be launched with a force you never imagined. If what you just heard makes you feel less alone in this season of being attacked, leave a like on this video as a gentle affirmation to your own soul. I am still standing, and I am still moving in the right direction when the attacks of the shadow finally quiet down. When the soul has just passed through the grueling phase of being torn between light and trial, there often appears a very strange silence. It is not intense, it is not chaotic, it is not physically painful like the phase before, but simply empty, flat, to the point of making you profoundly uneasy. And right here, you step into one of the most delicate, most misunderstood signs, before the divine gives you something truly great: sacred silence. This is the stage when heaven seems muted, all guidance seems to vanish, and your soul must learn to stand firm in complete stillness. This silence is not his absence, even though at first it always feels exactly that way. It is like the moment before sunrise, when all of nature holds its breath, like the moment a master potter pauses while shaping a new, complex vessel. The hand stops, not to abandon, but to let the clay settle in silence. Carl Jung called this the incubation stage, the critical period of spiritual gestation, where the inner world retreats into necessary darkness to prepare for a new level of consciousness to be born. Jung once said profoundly, "The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect but by the play instinct acting from inner necessity. The creative mind plays with the objects it loves. On the psychological level, this is when the unconscious works most intensely, reconnecting the scattered pieces within a person. But on the spiritual level, it is when the divine recalibrates the unique frequency of your soul to perfectly match what is coming. And according to Jung, such silences are necessary conditions for a new, stable inner order to form. A mind that appears empty is actually intensely reorganizing itself, just like a room must be cleared and settled before a precious, invaluable object is brought in. I once met a woman named Lena, strong, dynamic, full of surface faith. But after a series of upheavals, losing her job, her partner leaving, and the project she invested everything in collapsing, what scared her most was not the losses, but the silence. "I pray every night," she said, "but there is no answer. I used to always feel his guidance, but now it's just an empty space." I looked at Lena and told her that sometimes silence is the answer, because the divine only stays silent when he is doing something so deep, so vast, that any words would be unnecessary. She said that during that phase, everything in her life seemed to slow down. Work no longer progressed, relationships paused, and emotions didn't surge, but instead settled like a winter lake. Yet, in that seemingly barren state, she began to see something she had never noticed before: the stillness of her own soul. One morning, sitting alone by the window, she said she suddenly felt something small but certain. "It's not that God is silent, he is teaching me to distinguish his voice from the voice of my fear." The most beautiful image for this stage is the seed. When a seed is placed into the soil, it lies in total darkness. No light, no sound, no visible sign that it is growing. But truly, it is only being incubated. So its roots may grow downward, and its sprout may rise upward. The divine silence is like the darkness of the soil, not to bury you, but to prepare you to emerge stronger. In the ancient texts, there is a beautiful moment illustrating this. When the prophet Elijah fled to Mount Horeb, desperate and broken, he begged the divine to speak to him. Then a great wind tore the mountains apart, but the divine was not in the wind. An earthquake shook the ground, but the divine was not in the earthquake. Fire blazed, but still no voice. Finally, there was a gentle whisper, a very soft breeze, like a breath. And Elijah recognized that as the divine. The divine does not speak in chaos, he speaks in stillness, and only souls quiet enough can hear him. Carl Jung once wrote that the human soul possesses a mechanism of self-reconstruction during its darkest seasons. Ike the soil asleep before spring. And sacred silence is the meeting point between psychological science and faith. On the conscious level, you hear nothing. But on the unconscious level, the soul is being rebuilt. On the spiritual level, the divine is clearing the path. Silence is not emptiness. It is the sacred space where he places something new into your hands. Therefore, if you are in a season where your prayers fall into silence, where heaven feels closed, where your spiritual inspiration seems to disappear, do not fear. This is not a sign of ending, but a sign of revelation approaching. The divine does not stay silent to make you doubt. He stays silent so that you can recognize his true voice among the hundreds of other echoes. And when he speaks again, you will know instantly, because his voice never resembles anything else. It is a peace nothing in this world can create. Believe that silence is not abandonment. It is an invitation to step deeper into faith, into presence, into your own soul. And when he speaks again, what he brings will be so great that you will understand why you had to be silent first. If you are in this season of sacred silence, leave just one word, stillness, in the comments to mark your own journey. One word, but enough to say, I am still here, I am still believing. When the sacred silence has just closed its door, the stage where the soul learns to stand firm in emptiness, there often comes a very small but incredibly powerful movement, a mysterious inner pull. No more chaos, no more intense shadow attacks, no more terrifying divine silence. Instead, you begin to feel as if you are being guided by something greater, wiser than your small, fearful ego. It is not the feeling of running frantically from your past, but the profound feeling of being invited, gently but firmly, into your future. His is the next non-negotiable sign that those who are about to receive a great blessing often experience. The self, the divine center of the human being in Jungian psychology, begins pulling you toward the strongest version of yourself. Carl Jung viewed the self as the center of the totality of the psyche, transcending the ego, which is always fearful, controlling, and doubtful. The self is like a deep, unwavering inner light, the place where the conscious, the unconscious, and the divine will meet in perfect harmony. When a soul is about to step into a new chapter, the self begins to operate more strongly than the ego. You will feel this not through rational thoughts, but through a structural shift of energy inside your own body. Some people describe it as the feeling of finally coming home after being lost for years, a quiet certainty whispering, "This is who you are meant to be." Jung once wrote, "The self is our life's goal, for it is the completest expression of that fateful combination we call individuality, and it is precisely that complete part, the part you have not yet fully recognized, that is pulling you forward." This begins with very simple, decisive changes. Suddenly, you want to live more disciplined, even though you used to procrastinate. You deeply care about your health. You want to wake up early, eat clean, reorganize your room, let go of relationships that drain your psychic energy. You no longer want to get involved in petty drama. You want to live slower, clearer, cleaner, both inside and out. No one is forcing you. But there is a compelling, insistent voice inside saying it is time to grow. And interestingly, you no longer need loud external motivation. There is a new consistency, a new peace, as if every good choice you make is being supported by an invisible hand. A woman named Marissa once shared a very special story with me. She had worked in marketing for over 15 years, loved her job, but always felt something inside her had not been touched. One day, after a major crisis in her company, she felt a strange, inexplicable urge, waking up at 5 a.m., running, meditating, journaling, things she once believed weren't for her. 6 months later, she received an offer to become the creative director for an international non-profit organization, a role perfectly aligned with the deep desire she once hid from herself. She said, "It wasn't that I was trying to become a better version of myself. I just felt like something was preparing me for something I couldn't see." That is what Jung meant. The self always prepares the soul before life upgrades it. Many people in this stage describe it as if an old layer of skin is falling off, not painfully but lightly, and they realize they are stepping into the maturity of their soul. On a scientific level, this phenomenon is also explained by the brain's activation energy mechanism. When a person is about to enter a new phase of development, the brain activates regions responsible for goal-oriented behavior, especially the prefrontal cortex, the area governing willpower, discipline, and long-term vision. Therefore, before you see changes in the external world, the brain has already begun restructuring itself to prepare you for a higher frequency of living. Jung simply used a more sacred vocabulary to describe this phenomenon, the emergence of the self. You will notice that at this time, things that once intensely attracted you suddenly feel cheap. Compliments no longer excite you. Criticism no longer breaks you. People carrying heavy energy drift away without effort. You no longer want to argue, to prove, to compete. You want simplicity, authenticity, truth, yourself. You even begin to feel a kind of energetic resistance tow. Ed exclusively to prepare you. The divine never gives a great blessing to a soul that has not been made deep, made wide, and made new. He shapes you, he refines you through layers of movement that sometimes only your heart can register and feel. And then one day, you will finally understand why you had to go through such long, dark nights, why heaven was silent, why old doors closed abruptly, why people who once mattered had to ultimately leave your life. It was not to make you lose, it was to make room for what is right, what was written for you long, long ago. Carl Jung once said, fundamentally, the soul always knows where it must go. And only when you shed your old shell, when you release the limitations of the past, can you fully hear that persistent sovereign guidance. If the things in this video make you feel illuminated, share it with someone who is also walking through signs they have not yet understood. Let us anchor the meaning of this irreversible transformation. The final realization is this: the moment your self is aligned, your existence becomes a form of synchronicity itself. You stop being the person who frantically chases results, and you become the center that attracts them. The pressure before promotion was simply the expansion of your capacity. The inner shift was the self saying, you are too big for this old life. The grace and favor were the universe confirming you are aligned. The shadow attacks were the final necessary purification. The sacred silence was the rebuilding of your inner foundation. The pull was the self inviting you home. And now you stand at the summit. You begin living from a deeper layer, where intuition leads, where the self speaks without distortion, and where the events of life align like a series of subtle, perfect clues placed just for you. Similarly, when you stop worrying, you are not avoiding life. You are returning to your ability to see what has always been there, but was hidden by haste, fear, and the ego's noise. This journey is not for you to become someone else, but to step fully into the highest chapter the divine has prepared, with strength, peace, and deep inner knowing. This is the ultimate psychological victory. The moment you stop living at the mercy of people's opinions, the pressure of expectations, and the weight of external noise, you are stepping into a sharpened, colder version of yourself, a version guided by strategy rather than impulse, by presence rather than panic, by mastery rather than emotion. You understand that the person who reacts least controls the most. The person who rushes least sees the farthest. The person who reveals least stays the safest. Every time you hold back a reaction, you strengthen your inner fortress. Every time you slow down, instead of rushing, you sharpen your perception. Every time you keep your thoughts hidden, you protect your power. This is not withdrawal, it is elevation. You are not stepping away from life, you are stepping above it. The untouchable mind is built on three final pillars: restraint, patience, and secrecy. Restraint gives you complete control over your emotions. Patience gives you mastery over timing. Secrecy gives you protection over your intentions. These three traits turn you into a person people respect without understanding, fear without reason, and follow without question. They sense your certainty, they sense your power, they sense your stability, and more importantly, they sense that nothing they say or do can shake you. You become the eye of the storm, silent, still, unbreakable, while everything else spirals around you. The moment you stop living at the mercy of people's opinions, the pressure of expectati, ons, and the weight of external noise, most people spend their entire lives reacting to the world instead of shaping it. But you are evolving into the kind of man who rises above reaction, above urgency, above emotional exposure. You understand that the man who reacts least controls the most. The man who rushes least sees the farthest. The man who reveals least stays the safest. Every time you hold back a reaction, you strengthen your inner fortress. Every time you slow down, instead of rushing, you sharpen your perception. Every time you keep your thoughts hidden, you protect your power. This is not withdrawal, it is elevation. You are not stepping away from life. You are stepping above it. You are not becoming detached from reality. You are detaching from the illusions that keep others weak. The untouchable mind is built on three final pillars: restraint, patience, and secrecy. Restraint gives you complete control over your emotions, allowing you to stay calm even when provoked. Patience gives you mastery over timing, allowing you to wait until the perfect moment to make your move. Secrecy gives you protection over your intentions, allowing you to move without interference, manipulation, or sabotage. These three traits turn you into a person people respect without understanding, fear without reason, and follow without question. They sense your certainty. They sense your power. They sense your stability. And more importantly, they sense that nothing they say or do can shake you. You become the eye of the storm, silent, still, unbreakable, while everything else spirals around you. This kind of power is not built in a day. It forms through quiet discipline, daily self-control, and a commitment to rising above the emotional traps that swallow weaker minds. Every time you choose silence over reaction, patience over impulse, strategy over emotion, you elevate yourself another level above the masses. You become harder to offend, harder to manipulate, harder to distract, harder to provoke. And eventually, you become what most men never reach: a calm force that cannot be moved, a strategic mind that cannot be read, and a disciplined presence that cannot be touched. This is the final transformation, the point where you stop playing the world's game and begin playing your own. You have built yourself into a fortress. You have become a man who cannot be controlled from the outside. And that is true, pure power. The end result is simple but irreversible. You belong fully to yourself. The hesitation is gone. The noise is irrelevant. The opinions that once held weight now feel like distant echoes from a world you outgrew. This is the final stage of power, the stage where self-doubt doesn't simply disappear, it becomes impossible. You no longer fear judgment because judgment has no jurisdiction over you. You no longer fear rejection because rejection cannot delay your mission. You no longer fear failure because failure cannot rewrite your identity. You have outgrown the world and risen into your own. And this is where the transformation becomes irreversible. Your silence becomes strategy. Your movements become statements. Your existence becomes evidence that self-doubt was never real, only installed. Remember this: those who feared your potential will now fear your presence. Those who tried to control you will now whisper about your distance. Those who doubted you will now witness what you become when you stop listening. You have become the version of yourself that your old life could never contain. Power is maintained through consistency, fearless action, relentless focus, unbending self-belief. Do not return to softness. Do not return to permission. Do not return to doubt. You earned this mindset. Protect it. If you want to continue journeying with us in recognizing the sacred movements within your soul, hit subscribe. This journey is not for you to become someone else, but to step fully into the chapter the divine has prepared with strength, peace, and deep inner knowing.